My family and I went to Aaron's house to celebrate Eid. We haven't been to my Aaron's house for a long time, about 3 years. I was really excited to meet my siblings. Then one of my aunts thought I was my sister. She said, "Hey, I thought you were Audira because you look like so much like Audira. You have big eyes and no hair like Audira." I was embarrassing because honestly I don't feel like I look like my sister.
My brother and I went to basketball court for practice basketball on January 8. During the basketball practice, I heard someone calling my name from behind. Without turning around, I answered and talked to him, thinking he was my brother. I even asked him about usually talk about. A few moments later, the person looked confused and told me he was not my brother. At the moment, I realized I talked to the wrong person. Everyone around us started laughing and I felt embarrassed. In the end, I looked at myself and apologized to him.
Strangers out of nowhere. On the New Year evening, my mom and I go to the mall. We're just walking around the mall. Then comes the stranger of nowhere and she calls her friend's name so louder and she waved at me. I got confused. She just looking at me and realized I'm not her friend. She said sorry and told her friends also like me because they wearing glasses, have oval face and wearing hijab. After that, she walking away with blushing face. And I won't forget this moment because her sound so loud and people at the mall looking at us.
Mistaken for my mother. One Monday afternoon, I went to a wedding with my father. It was the wedding of my father's friend's daughter. When we arrived, we greeted my father's friend's family and had lunch. Before going home, we said goodbye to my father's friend. She asked my father, "Why didn't you bring your daughter today?" My father was surprised and said, "This is my daughter." His friend thought I was my mother because my mom and I look very similar. It was a very awkward moment. I felt embarrassment because the mistake made me feel old. After that, we quickly went home.
Without glasses at my family gathering. Last December, my family held a family gathering at my grandmother's house. There I gathered with my family, chatting and exchanging stories. When I came out of the room, my aunt called my mother's name to me. My aunt so embarrassed that she was wrong because she didn't wear glasses.
15.
My family and I went to Bali for holiday vacation on November 50. Me and my family going to shopping as soon as we arrived. I went to clothing store with my grandma and my cousin. Then I get thirsty, so I go out of the store to buy some oranges juice. But I think I heard someone called my name, but I don't mind it. So I go back to inside and my cousin was laughing so hard. She said my grandma was calling me, but turns out it's my cousin. When my grandma was calling me, of course my cousin didn't look back and focused on her phone. And grandma sort angry and called my name by a full name Mutiara Dazuri with high note and angry voice. I was so embarrassed with that story and my grandma action, and we immediately go out from the store. It was funny and embarrassing moment.
Mistaking a customer for a store employee. Last month, I went to a clothing store to buy some clothes. Well, I was looking around. I saw someone who looked like a store employee because of his outfit. I asked them how much they clothes. He looked surprised and dismayed. He told me that he was not a store employee. a customer just like me. I immediately realized my mistake and felt embarrassed. I apologized to her for confusing her with a store worker. In the end, we laughed about the situation. Even though it was embarrassing, it became an unforgettable and funny experience for me.
On January 1st, I planned to meet my friend at a cafe at around 2 p.m. My friend arrived earlier than me, but when I got there, I didn't know where my friend was sitting. I spent about 5 minutes walking around the cafe and looking for my friend. After searching for a while, I finally saw someone who looked exactly like my friend. The person had similar clothes and the same way of sitting as my friends. Without thinking twice, I walked up to the person and called my friend's name. Suddenly, the person turned around and looked very confused, and I feel embarrassed because some people around us were looking at me. And I apologized to the person and left.
An embarrassing moment at the mall. One day, while I was at the mall, I experienced a small but memorable moment that I didn't expect at all. From behind, I noticed someone who looked exactly like my friend Afifa. She had the same hairstyle and very similar posture, so without thinking twice, I confidently greeted her and even called out Afifa's name. For a second, I was sure it was her. However, when she turned around, I realized that I had made a mistake and that she was actually a complete stranger. The situation was really embarrassing, but it also became a funny memory for me. I won't forget this moment for the rest of my life.
One morning during the school break, I was walking along the school corridor. I was in a hurry and not really paying attention to my surroundings. I saw a student from behind and thought he was my friend, so I called his name. When he turning around, I realized that I had called the wrong person. The people around me laughed, and I felt very embarrassed. I apologized politely and learning to be more careful before calling someone.
On Friday, my sister and I went to Sumarkan Mall. We will buy skincare at Guardian. Before go to Guardian, my sister want to go to toilet first. I wait for her at outside the toilet. A few minutes later, someone who looked my sister come out of the toilet. So I called her several times. So that there was a mother who helped remind me that I called her. When he looked at me, it turned out it wasn't my sister. I was embarrassed, not only to her but also to the mother who helped me.
Dinner at Grandma's house. On the weekend, my family and I visit Grandma's house. Grandma greeted us without looking at our faces before hugging us. Grandma immediately hugged my sister, but she mentioned my name while I was behind my sister. And I said, "I'm still here, it's my sister." And my grandmother laughed and said, "You guys have the same height." Then she hugged me after hugging my sister, and we had dinner together at the dining table. While eating, I still feel embarrassed because her older sister has the same height as her younger sister.